Stop for a moment and think about the kind of life you want to live. Not just the material things, the house, the car, the bank account, but the feeling, the fulfillment, the freedom, the power to wake up every day knowing you are in control. Now think about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That space in between that's not filled with luck. It's not filled with wishes. It's not even filled with opportunities. It's filled with you. And until you change, until you grow, that gap stays right where it is. Most people wait. They wait for the right timing. They wait for the economy to shift. They wait for someone to believe in them. They wait for their circumstances to magically change, but waiting never brings transformation. Wishing that life would get easier never moved anyone forward. Life doesn't become easier because you want it to. Life becomes manageable, even extraordinary, because you become stronger. Circumstances are not the problem. Your level of awareness, your mindset, and your willingness to stretch beyond your current self, that's what determines whether you stay stuck or break through. You see, life reflects who you are, not what you hope for. You attract what you are prepared for, what you're aligned with, and what you believe you're capable of handling. So if you're constantly facing the same problems, if you're surrounded by the same limitations, that's a clear signal. Not that life is unfair, but that your inner world needs to grow. Your reality is a mirror, and if you don't like what you see, don't try to change the mirror. Change the reflection. That means becoming more disciplined, becoming more intentional, becoming more emotionally intelligent, becoming more resilient, because until you grow, nothing else does. You can't solve high-level problems with low-level thinking, and yet most people keep trying. They expect to conquer challenges with the same thinking that created them. That's not how it works. You have to grow into the version of yourself that can handle that next level. You don't get that promotion by wishing your boss was more generous. You get it by becoming so excellent that you can't be overlooked. You don't build a successful business by hoping the market becomes easier to navigate. You do it by becoming someone who can outthink, outwork, and outlast the obstacles. It all starts with you. Let's get real. People complain about how hard things are. The job is too demanding. The relationship is too stressful. The dream is too far away. But rarely do they ask the more powerful question: who do I need to become to handle this better? That question changes everything. It shifts your energy away from victimhood and toward personal power. It moves you from passivity into momentum. You start to see challenges as invitations to grow, not as roadblocks designed to defeat you. The truth is, comfort is a trap. When you wish for things to be easier, you're really asking to stay the same. You're asking for life to shrink itself down to your current capabilities. But that's not how anything meaningful is built. Greatness demands growth. Fulfillment demands effort. Every time you hit a wall, you're being given a gift, the opportunity to level up, but only if you stop trying to go around it and choose instead to go through it. People don't rise to their goals. They fall to the level of their identity and training. So the question isn't, can I have that success? The question is, am I becoming the person who can hold that success without crumbling under it? You don't get to carry the weight of your dream until you can carry the weight of the discipline required to build it. That means waking up earlier, saying no more often, studying harder, practicing longer, saying goodbye to distractions and comfort zones. That's how you close the gap between who you are and who you're meant to be. And here's what no one wants to admit. Your excuses sound logical to you because they're built around your current identity. You believe them because they match who you are right now. I'm too tired. It's too hard. I'm not ready. But all those statements are reflections of who you've been, not who you could be. And as long as you keep feeding them, you'll keep reinforcing the version of you that keeps getting the same results. If you want to break the cycle, you need to shift your internal dialogue. You need to start feeding the version of yourself that can. The one who pushes through, the one who finds solutions, the one who sees setbacks as signals to grow, not signs to quit. And the beautiful thing is, that version of you already exists. It's not someone you have to invent, it's someone you have to uncover. But you'll never find that version of you by wishing things were easier. You'll only meet them by deciding to get better. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. It doesn't matter who doubted you, what you didn't learn, or what opportunities you missed. The future doesn't care about your story. It cares about your growth. The only question that matters right now is, are you willing to outgrow your old self? Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to stop wishing and start building? Because nothing will change until you do. Not your finances, not your relationships, not your confidence, not your peace, not your results. When you change, everything changes. That's the principle. That's the truth. You don't get a better life by hoping life gets easier. You get a better life by getting better yourself. Most people misunderstand pressure. They see it as something to avoid, something that signals danger or overwhelm. But that mindset is what keeps them small. The truth is, pressure is a privilege. It's not the enemy, it's the proving ground. It's the exact environment where growth is forged. Without pressure, there is no breakthrough. Without pressure, there is no refinement. Pressure is what reveals who you really are, not when everything is going your way, but when nothing is. That's where character is exposed, habits are tested, and potential is either awakened or wasted. Pressure comes when life calls you to rise higher than your current level. It knocks on your door not to break you, but to build you. Yet so many people run from it. They want ease, not elevation. They want relief, not resilience. But ease never made anyone stronger. Ease never taught anyone how to handle success or sustain excellence. The people who go the farthest in life are not the ones who had the least resistance. They're the ones who learned how to master pressure without crumbling under it. Pressure will make you uncomfortable. It will demand more from you than you think you have. It will stretch your capacity, your patience, your discipline. But that's not something to fear. That's something to respect. Because pressure is one of the greatest teachers in the world. It teaches you how to regulate your emotions when the stakes are high. It teaches you how to focus when distractions are pulling at every corner of your mind. It teaches you how to show up consistently, even when everything inside of you wants to quit. And through that repetition, through that fire, you emerge with something far more valuable than temporary comfort. You emerge with confidence. You can't fake strength. You can't fake discipline. You can't fake emotional control. Those traits are built in the trenches under pressure. When you feel the weight of responsibility, the urgency of deadlines, the intensity of expectations, that's when you find out what you're really made of. Pressure doesn't invent weakness, it reveals it, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's necessary, because what gets revealed can finally be addressed. You can't fix what you're unwilling to face. Pressure puts everything on the surface. It shows you where you hesitate, where you procrastinate, where you compromise. And if you're willing to listen, pressure will show you exactly where you need to grow. People often say, "I can't take it anymore." But what they really mean is, "I've reached the edge of who I've been." That edge isn't a limit, it's an invitation. It's a signal that you're ready to expand. Because there's more in you. There's more strength, more clarity, more discipline, more courage. But you'll never find any of it inside your comfort zone. It's pressure that drags those traits out into the open. It's pressure that makes you stronger than your excuses. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but it changes everything in the long run. You weren't built for comfort. You were built for capacity. But the only way to access that capacity is to challenge it. Think about it. No diamond is formed without pressure. No sword is sharpened without friction. And no leader is born without trial. Every single person you admire for their strength, wisdom, or success went through seasons of extreme pressure. They felt what you feel, they doubted themselves, they wanted to give up, but they made one decision that changed everything. They leaned into the pressure instead of running from it. When you start to see pressure differently, your entire perspective shifts. You stop avoiding hard conversations. You stop resisting tough decisions. You stop fearing failure because now you understand it's all part of the process, and not just any process. The process that takes you from average to unstoppable. The process that separates those who merely wish from those who win. The process that molds leaders, champions, and visionaries. Pressure isn't just a teacher, it's a filter. It separates those who say they want it from those who are ready for it. Everyone wants to be great until greatness asks for sacrifice. Everyone wants to rise until the rising begins to hurt. But pressure doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care about your feelings. It demands your focus, your consistency, your mental toughness. And when you give it those things, it rewards you with breakthrough after breakthrough. You have to stop asking for the load to be lighter. That's the wrong request. Start asking for yourself to be stronger. Ask for the strength to carry more. Ask for the wisdom to move smarter. Ask for the endurance to keep going when the pressure peaks. Because the truth is, most of the time, you're not breaking under the weight of the pressure. You're breaking under the weight of your resistance to it. The more you fight pressure, the more it dominates you. But the moment you embrace it, the moment you accept it as a necessary part of growth, it starts to work with you, not against you. Pressure will visit every area of your life, your work, your health, your relationships, your dreams. But that's a gift, because it means you have something worth growing into. It means you're on the edge of something meaningful, and instead of shrinking back, instead of playing it safe, your job is to meet that pressure with presence, with preparation, with power. Stop wishing it would go away and start welcoming it for what it is, a sacred opportunity to evolve. Every level of life comes with a new level of pressure, and every time you rise to meet it, you build a new level of strength. That strength compounds, it stacks up, and one day, you look back and realize that the very things that once made you anxious now feel like a war. Mup. That's what pressure does when you stop avoiding it and start respecting it. It expands you, it transforms you, it prepares you for things you once thought were out of reach. Not because life got easier, but because you got better. Wishing is one of the most deceptive traps in life. It feels active, like you're doing something. You sit there and think about how amazing life could be if things just magically shifted. If you had more money, you'd be happier. If the opportunities showed up, you'd take them. If things weren't so hard, you'd finally go after that dream. But what's really happening is nothing. Wishing creates an illusion of progress while keeping you stuck in the same place. It doesn't move energy. It doesn't create momentum. It doesn't build skill. It's passive. It's soft. It's the language of delay. Improvement, on the other hand, is power. It's action. It's the decision to stop waiting for things outside of you to change and start changing yourself. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't filled with luck. It's filled with repetition, self-discipline, and focused effort. It's the result of doing the work that most people avoid because it's not glamorous, it's not easy, and it doesn't bring instant gratification. But that's what makes it powerful. When you commit to improvement, you're no longer playing the short game. You're building something that lasts. There's a reason most people stay average. It's not because they aren't talented. It's because they don't commit to mastery. They want results without repetition. They want the prize without the process, so they keep wishing they had more time, more motivation, more support. But all of those things are found on the other side of doing, not dreaming. Wishing keeps you trapped in your mind. Improvement forces you to get your hands dirty. It demands effort. It calls for sacrifice. And because of that, it brings real transformation. When you choose improvement, you're no longer depending on conditions. you're creating capability. You're becoming someone who can walk into any room, face any challenge, step into any season, and deliver results because you've trained yourself to do so. Wishing waits for the perfect moment. Improvement creates the moment. And the truth is, the perfect time will never come. Life is messy. It's unpredictable. There's always going to be something standing in your way. But if you spend your life waiting for ideal circumstances, you'll never experience growth. You grow when you decide that now is the time to take control. Improvement is never about comparison. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. That's it. 1% better, one step forward, one habit strengthened. That's where the power is, because those tiny, almost invisible shifts compound over time. While others are standing still, hoping for something external to change, you're building something internal that can't be taken away. That's the kind of power that no economy, no setback, no rejection can strip from you. Wishing also breeds entitlement. You begin to believe you deserve more just because you want more. But the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you earn. It rewards those who show up, those who refine their skills, who push past comfort, who do the boring, repetitive, unsexy work without needing applause. And that's the gap most people never close. They don't want to train when no one is watching. They don't want to study when results are still invisible, but that's exactly what improvement requires. There's a kind of power that comes from knowing you've outworked your excuses, from looking in the mirror and knowing you're not hoping for a better life. You're becoming the person who creates one. That level of self-respect can't be wished into existence. It's earned through consistency, through showing up on the days you don't feel like it, through choosing growth even when comfort is calling louder. Wishing feels good for a moment. Improvement changes you forever, and let's talk about fear. Because that's often what drives people into wishing instead of working. They're afraid they'll fail, afraid they won't be good enough, afraid of judgment, of loss, of stepping into something unfamiliar. So they stay in the safe zone of imagination, where everything is possible but nothing is real. Improvement demands courage. It demands that you do things scared, that you take the first step without knowing what the 10th step looks like, that you act before you feel ready, because you'll never feel ready. You become ready by doing, by proving to yourself that you can figure it out as you go. Every time you choose to improve, you take your power back. You stop outsourcing your future to chance. You stop hoping someone else will come along and rescue you from your reality. You realize that everything you need is within you, but it has to be developed, it has to be trained, and that takes time, it takes patience. But if you stick with it, you'll become someone others can't ignore. Not because you wished your way to success, but because you built your way there. Improvement also demands responsibility, and that's why it's so rare. It requires you to own every outcome in your life, to stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing. To say, if it's going to happen, I have to be the one to make it happen. That kind of mindset is uncomfortable at first, but it's liberating in the long run. Because it puts you in control. It removes the illusion that your life is determined by forces you can't control. It makes you the creator, not the consumer. Wishing will always feel easier. It will always offer a way to avoid the discomfort of change. But it never delivers. It's a silent thief. It steals your time, your energy, and your potential while making you believe you're doing something. Improvement, on the other hand, is demanding, but it's also honest. It gives you exactly what you put into it. No more, no less. And over time, it transforms you into someone who doesn't need to wish for better days, because you've trained yourself to create them. Most people are waiting for motivation to show up before they take action. They sit around hoping that one day they'll feel ready, feel inspired, feel energized enough to finally do the things they've been avoiding. But motivation is not a reliable partner. It's fleeting. It comes and goes based on how you feel, what's happening around you, and whether the path ahead looks exciting or painful. If your life depends on waiting for motivation, you'll always find yourself starting and stopping, moving forward one moment and falling back the next. The people who win in life don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. Habits are the invisible systems that shape your entire reality. They determine how you think, how you feel, how you act, and ultimately what you create. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. And the hard truth is this: your current habits are perfectly designed to give you the results you're getting. If your finances aren't growing, if your health is declining, if your relationships feel disconnected, it's not because life is unfair, it's because your habits are not aligned with your goals. And the only way to change your future is to change what you do every single day. There is power in small, daily disciplines. You don't need to make massive shifts overnight. That's not sustainable. What creates lasting transformation is the ability to repeat simple, effective actions consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because that's where true self-mastery is built. That's where identity shifts begin to happen. When you start showing up, not based on your feelings, but based on your commitment to growth, you stop operating like a victim of circumstance and start behaving like a creator of outcomes. People overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year through consistent daily habits. You don't get fit by going to the gym once. You don't master a skill by practicing occasionally. You don't build confidence by doing something only when it's convenient. Habits compound. They build over time, and they don't just change your results. They change your self-image. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you're capable, disciplined, and worthy of success. That's how you build trust with yourself, and here's the thing: everyone has habits. The question is whether they're building you or breaking you. Staying up too late, scrolling endlessly, eating out of boredom, procrastinating on important tasks. Those are habits too. They don't seem harmful in the moment, but over time they erode your energy, your focus, your drive. They keep you comfortable but stagnant. The real cost of a bad habit is not the immediate damage. It's the opportunity you lose. It's the potential you never unlock. Because for every minute you spend feeding a disempowering habit, you're moving further away from the version of you who could change your entire life. The key is to design habits that serve the future you want to create. That means getting intentional. You have to ask yourself, what would the best version of me do every single day? Not once in a while, not when it's easy. Every single day. Would they get up early? Would they plan their day the night before? Would they feed their mind with empowering thoughts? Would they train their body, protect their energy, guard their time? The answer is yes. And if that version of you is who you're trying to become, then your habits need to reflect that. Now, not someday. You don't break bad habits by sheer force. You replace them. You create systems that make good choices easier and bad choices harder. If you want to stop wasting time on your phone, put it in another room while you work. If you want to read more books, leave one next to your bed or carry it with you. If you want to start your day strong, lay your clothes out the night before. Prep your breakfast, plan your first task. Don't rely on willpower. Build environments that support the identity you're trying to develop. One of the most powerful habits you can build is keeping your word to yourself. That's how you raise your standards. That's how you create momentum. You say you're going to do something, and then you do it. Not for applause, not for validation, but because you've decided that your future is worth more than your excuses. That simple act, repeated over and over again, becomes a foundation for confidence. It becomes a source of strength in moments when you feel like giving up, because you know, deep down, you're someone who follows through. It's easy to underestimate the impact of small habits. They seem insignificant at first. Waking up 30 minutes earlier, journaling for 5 minutes, drinking more water, reviewing your goals, practicing gratitude. None of it seems groundbreaking in the moment, but over time, these small disciplines carve deep grooves into your life. They train your mind, sharpen your focus, build your resilience. They position you for breakthrough after breakthrough, not because of luck, but because of consistency. You can always tell where someone is headed by looking at what they do repeatedly. Show me your habits and I'll show you your future. Success isn't about massive, dramatic actions. It's about doing the right things, day in and day out, even when they don't feel exciting. Especially when no one is watching, because those are the moments that define who you become. They separate the dreamers from the doers, the hopeful from the disciplined, the talkers from the builders. If you want to change your life, don't start with the big goals. Start with the small habits, the ones that seem almost too easy to matter, the ones that don't make a big splash, but quietly shift the direction of your life 1 degree at a time. Because when you stack those habits on top of each other, day after day, week after week, you create unstoppable momentum. And in the end, it's not motivation that builds a legendary life. It's not talent or luck or timing. It's habits, daily, disciplined, deliberate action that turns intention into transformation. We live in a world that glorifies ease. Everywhere you turn, someone is selling shortcuts, hacks, or overnight results. The message is loud and clear. Find the path of least resistance. Do the minimum and expect the maximum. But the truth is, anything truly worth having in life does not come easy. Success is not microwaved. Growth is not instant. Fulfillment is not something you stumble into. It's something you earn, and you earn it through discomfort, effort, and consistent commitment to improvement. The pain of growth is real, but so is the reward. The challenge is learning how to embrace that pain, not run from it. Most people avoid the pain of growth because they misunderstand it. They think if it's uncomfortable, it must be wrong. If it's hard, it must not be meant for them. But growth always comes with friction. You cannot evolve into a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself without being stretched. Think about a seed that turns into a tree. It has to break through the ground, weather the elements, face storms and seasons. There's struggle in that transformation, but without that resistance, the seed would remain buried, just like you would if you keep avoiding the necessary discomfort. The pain of growth shows up in many forms. It's the discipline of getting up early when your body wants to stay in bed. It's the emotional labor of confronting your fears instead of ignoring them. It's the vulnerability of trying something new and risking failure. It's the tension of breaking old habits and building new ones. It's saying no to things that bring you comfort so you can say yes to a bigger vision. It's hearing the voice in your head that says you can't, and choosing to act anyway. These are not signs that you're off track. They're signs that you're on the path of transformation. When you begin to lean into growth, you start to see discomfort differently. You stop labeling it as suffering and start recognizing it as a signal. A signal that you're moving beyond your limitations. A signal that you're shedding the old skin and stepping into a more powerful identity. That shift in perception is what separates those who grow from those who give up. Because the ones who grow don't ask for it to be easier. They ask to be stronger. They understand that pain is not the enemy, stagnation is. Pain forces you to pay attention. It reveals your weaknesses, your patterns, your blind spots. And while that can be difficult to face, it's also the doorway to your next level. The truth is, most people don't change until staying the same becomes more painful than evolving. They tolerate a job they hate, a relationship that drains them, a lifestyle that numbs them, until the discomfort becomes unbearable. But what if you didn't wait for rock bottom? What if you chose growth now, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient? That's what true personal power looks like. It's the ability to choose what's right over what's easy. You have to understand that temporary pain creates permanent strength. Think of an athlete in the gym. The soreness, the sweat, the exhaustion, that's all part of the process. It's not punishment, it's progress. It means the muscle is being torn so it can rebuild stronger. The same is true for your mindset, your habits, your emotional resilience. Every time you push through resistance, you build capacity. And the more capacity you build, the more you can handle. The more you can create, the more you can lead. That's how champions are built, not by avoiding pain, but by mastering it. But this isn't just about physical effort. It's about emotional growth too. The pain of having difficult conversations. The pain of letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. The pain of forgiving yourself for your past mistakes. Emotional growth is often the most painful kind because it forces you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But those moments, those deeply uncomfortable soul-stretching moments are where your power lies. You can't become whole if you're always running from the parts of yourself that are still wounded. You grow by healing, not hiding. Growth pain is also the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. It's the tension of stepping into new standards while still being haunted by old habits. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's completely normal. Don't mistake that gap as a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. It means you're no longer settling for mediocrity. You're stretching into something greater, and that stretching hurts, but it also shapes you. It chisels away the excuses, the doubt, the limitations, until all that's left is the real you. The capable, focused, relentless version of you that was always there, waiting to be revealed. And let's not forget, pain builds empathy. When you've gone through something hard, you gain a deeper understanding of others. You connect on a human level. You stop judging and start relating. That's the kind of leadership the world needs, not perfection, but authenticity. People who have walked through the fire and come out stronger, wiser, more compassionate. Your growth doesn't just serve you. It serves everyone around you. It gives you the wisdom to uplift others, the strength to carry more, the clarity to lead. So the next time you feel resistance, don't run from it. Don't wish it away. Let it be a mirror. Let it show you where you're being called to grow. And remember, nothing that comes easy ever truly satisfies. You won't find fulfillment in shortcuts. You'll find it in the climb, in the effort, in the process of becoming. That's where the magic is, not in reaching the goal, but in becoming the kind of person who never gave up when it got hard. Every person carries within them a vision, a picture of a life they know they're meant to live. It might be buried under years of fear, rejection, self-doubt, or failure, but it's there. It's that whisper that says, you're capable of more. That silent knowing that you were born to do something meaningful, something extraordinary. But here's what separates the people who live that vision from the ones who only dream about it. The willingness to take full responsibility. Not partial, not when it's convenient, not when it feels good. Full responsibility without blaming the past, without pointing fingers, and without waiting for someone to rescue you. Taking responsibility for your life is not about guilt. It's about power. It's about reclaiming control over your outcomes, your direction, your potential. The moment you say, I am responsible, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become a creator of circumstance. You stop explaining away your failure and start extracting the lesson. You stop waiting for opportunities and start building them. You shift from reaction to intention, from hoping to deciding. That's a powerful shift. Because as long as you blame others or conditions, you've handed them the keys to your life. You've surrendered your ability to change. Responsibility is the foundation of self-leadership. It means no matter what happened in your past, no matter who hurt you, who left you, who underestimated you, you are still responsible for your future. You may not be responsible for your wounds, but you are responsible for your healing. You may not be responsible for how you were raised, but you are responsible for who you become. That doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you refuse to let it define you. You take ownership of the story you write next.
This level of responsibility is not common. Most people will do everything they can to avoid it, because it's easier to blame. It's easier to say, I can't succeed because of my parents, my boss, the economy, my upbringing, my bad luck.
And while those factors may be real, they're not the final word. Your life is not determined by what happens to you. It's determined by how you respond, and that response is entirely in your hands. That's the liberating truth. You don't have to wait for anyone else to change in order for your life to improve. You only need to change you. When you stop blaming and start owning, your entire mindset shifts. You begin to see setbacks not as dead ends but as redirections. You begin to view challenges not as barriers but as invitations to grow. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That's the perspective of someone who's building something real. Someone who refuses to let temporary defeat become permanent failure. Because with responsibility comes resilience. And with resilience comes the ability to turn adversity into advantage. Taking responsibility also means you stop waiting for motivation. You don't need to feel like doing something in order to do it. You do it because it's aligned with your vision. You don't rely on your emotions to guide your behavior. You let your principles guide your behavior. That's maturity. That's what builds character. And character is what sustains success long after motivation fades. Anyone can show up when things are exciting. But the person who takes full responsibility shows up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's uncertain, because they've decided that the outcome is non-negotiable. There is a peace that comes with responsibility. Because once you understand that you are responsible, you stop fighting with life. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing everyone to agree with you, support you, validate you. You realize that you don't need someone else to believe in you when you believe in you. You stop asking for clarity before you move, and clarity finds you on the path. That's when you start making real progress. That's when you begin to walk with certainty, not because the path is easy, but because you've decided not to give your power away again. It's not always easy to own everything. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it means facing uncomfortable truths about how you've shown up, how you've played small, how you've sabotaged your own success. But those moments are not to shame you. They are to shape you. They are invitations to do better, to think higher, to live more intentionally. And when you accept that invitation, you stop repeating the same patterns. You break the cycles. You become the cause, not the effect. That's how leaders are born. That's how transformation begins. Responsibility is the beginning of freedom. When you fully embrace it, you realize you're not stuck. You're not broken. You're not powerless. You're just one decision away from a completely different outcome. One decision to stop complaining. One decision to stop comparing. One decision to stop waiting. One decision to start owning your time, your energy, your choices. That's where your life begins to change, not when your circumstances improve, but when your mindset does. Because the moment you say, "It's on me," is the moment you take the wheel and start driving toward the life you were meant to live. It's easy to fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to notice you, support you, rescue you. But if you're waiting, you're losing. Life doesn't respond to people who wait. It responds to people who move, and movement begins with ownership. When you decide to own every part of your journey, the wins, the losses, the lessons, the failures, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not rejection, not setbacks, because you've taken the power back. You've declared that your life is your responsibility and no one else's. That kind of responsibility is rare, but it's required. If you want a different life, you have to stop wishing and start owning. You have to stop hoping for change and start becoming the change. You have to stop pointing outward and start looking inward. Because in the end, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you your dream. No one is going to do the work for you. And the good news is, they don't have to. You have everything within you already. All it takes is the decision to claim it. The decision to stop waiting and start creating. The decision to rise, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger,